and then the underemployment at about 18%. So you've got above 30%. That's not a good number. This is real.
The minister.
This amounts to about 1 point something million people who would have lost jobs just by virtue of that. So you do need to pay attention to economic growth. So what are the drivers of economic growth? That should be the kind of conversation that the team should be having. It's because if you don't have that discussion, then it means that you might have, as I said, this possibility of a breakthrough, and yet you're not managing it right. Therefore, you're tinkering at the margins and not getting the right outcome. I would say that the DNA of our economy has proven that we do well with understanding the way the market economy functions and government supporting the market economy to function. Because, look, this government has to create at least 3 million jobs every year in order to...
Let me quickly bring you these, what the Minister of Economy said, Finance said. He said, what we have in Nigeria is growth without development.
Yeah, you know, I mean, we do hear that. I say that also because we've had quite some cases of jobless growth, not just in Africa, not just even in Nigeria, but globally. That's part of what created the global inequality that we talk about today. However, you don't even stand a chance of improving the quality of life of your citizens if you don't grow. So growth is a necessary condition, but it's not a sufficient condition. But without growth, you're in serious trouble. The collapse of growth is something that any economy would do everything to avoid. However, the issue that the minister, is pointing to is the quality of growth, the structure of growth, the composition of growth. And that's where this whole conversation about Nigeria's productivity, its competitiveness, the diversification of the economy, so that the sources of growth can be spread and that they could be broader than they currently are. They are very narrow sources of growth, and by taking cognizance of the right sets of fiscal policies, the right sets of monetary policy, the chief monetary policy that we've seen that created a lot of disastrous effect so far has been, the prize called the foreign exchange. And the foreign exchange policy truly was difficult for this government because if Nigeria had managed our oil boom, the fifth one, well, we should have probably had about maybe $90 billion. About $90 billion. But we didn't. We not only mismanaged it, but we did it in the kind of way that just sort of made us so vulnerable to the oil price shock. We acted as though we were surprised by the fact that a boom doesn't last. It's a temporary thing. We acted as though it was permanent. Now, with that kind of an attitude, we were unprepared for the onslaught of the oil price decline. However, what I keep saying to people who would like us to always remember this is that considering the kind of squandering of resources that we see took place. In fact, in 2013, you recall that I put it out there that I was worried about the oil revenue management approach of the previous administration. But the thing is, what we should do is to say, this previous administration is no longer in charge of the economy. It's now your problem. Your problem. So the only thing that you can do, and that is well within the power of the administration, is to thoroughly investigate all cases of criminal behavior, and to deal with that. That's what they owe us now.
All right.
We can ask them to fix the economy. That's gone.
I will want to go to Mr. Arewani to talk about the economic team, because a lot of issues have gone into that issue, that matter, and the issue of growth and development. But quickly, Jide, there are some issues based on what Nigerians perceive of this government and the activities in terms of economy.
Oh, yes, there are three major things that bother me. The first is, this week, the Federal Road Safety came out to say that the total road accidents that happened last year were 9,000, on one hand. On the second hand, the guys at the National Bureau of Statistics tell us that the total full-time jobs created for science and engineering professionals were below 9,000. Here's what it means. It is more likely for you to be involved in a road accident than for you to get a full-time job in a science or engineering discipline.
Based on the statistics that we have.
Based on the statistics that we have. The second thing that bothers me is the most recent report also says that there are 5 million unemployed Nigerians. Here's what it means. 2 war-related countries, Republic of Congo and Central African Republic, they have a population of about 5 million. What it means in essence is the Nigeria of today is really 2 countries. We have a country of employed people, and we have a second country of 5 million people that are unemployed.
About 5 million people, 5 million Nigerians are
5 million unemployed Nigerians.
Considering the ones who lost their jobs a few weeks ago.
That makes it more than 5 million. But the third thing is, going through the millions of files at the National Bureau of Statistics, they say within the last 90 days, 1,528,642 new people entered the labor market. So here's what it means. It means that before I am done with the statement I'm about to make, 5 million Nigerians have just entered into the labor market, and they are looking for jobs. They are looking for jobs, and the economy only is creating about 1.6, 1.7 million jobs.
Are the jobs really there in the real sense of it?
The jobs aren't dead. Unemployment rate of 31.2%. Do you know what happened the last time unemployment rate was above 30%?
What happened?
Nobody knows, because the country has never witnessed an unemployment rate of above 30% in the history of the country.
I mean, interesting statistics there, and some baffling also, because a lot of people who have lost their jobs won't find this funny at all. But again, you look at the team that the president has put together, the economic team, some of them Nigerians do not even know. Is this the right way to handle economy in the past 1 year?
No, again, I said your story has to be clear, it has to be credible, and it has to be consistent. You must have a story. The economy is not subject of any whims and cravings. What is good to have and what you need to have are 2 different things. We keep on saying we want this, we want this, we want that. We can't afford. This country has to decide that it cannot spend on things it cannot afford. 1. 2, that doing the wrong thing at the right time and doing the right thing at the wrong time is the same thing. The reality is that the delays have become expensive, and you lose time. You lose the opportunity. You cannot treat a patient after he's dead. So the true point, the critical issue facing Nigeria today is that the economic dynamics is moving much faster than the decision-making process. There are important issues and there are urgent issues. Obi talked about the sense of urgency. You now have a situation where you have negative growth, and the political consequence of 2 consecutive quarters of an increase in the misery index means that if you are going for an election, you lose, and if you are in power, your favorable ratings will drop. You need to fix it very quickly.
But do we look like we have a team, the right team on the ground?
No, I think, you see, small minds talk about people. I don't care what the team is.
But if you don't have the right people, you might not get the job done.
No, I understand.
You're not concerned about that?
No, see, the reality is that once the decision is made, a bad decision is better than no decision, because you can go around and fix it. What has happened is that it's taken us almost a year plus to figure out that we need to adopt an exchange rate policy that allows the naira appreciate when things are better and depreciate when things are bad. Because a strong currency is a good to have. A market-driven value of a currency is what you need to have. Because without confidence, without investment, when people invest and government also spends, you get your way out. The way out of a recession and the way out of a slowdown is to spend, borrow, and get out of it. The government has the framework, but has been slow in implementing, and the policy alone cannot change it. You talk about the team has to be an effective team, and that's the president picks his team, and I'm not going to even begin to make a judgment about what the team is, but the team should get to work. They have not gone to work.
There is a lady in the audience. She's popularly called Ronke Employment, okay? But I'll come to you shortly. The issue of employment is a major one. When 4 pieces of tomatoes go for about 500 naira, that is crazy, isn't it? Mr. Adeshino, what we have on our hands right now is a country that is near recession. But at this rate, the president has said he may not be devaluing the naira anytime soon.